Hello there. It's a bonus episode. Thank you so much for your patience with me and getting over COVID. Talking extra was not in my cards, but I am back. When we recorded the recaps for the December 1997 issue of Romantic Times, there were some tangents and topics and features that I cut in edits simply because we talked for almost 2 hours. But you get the fun extras. Well, some are not so fun, but I will get to that in a minute. Some are very, very sad. So we're going to talk about porn scandals, Beanie Babies, international postage, cat newsletters, and more. And I've added a PDF to this entry on Patreon so you can follow along if you wish. Now, before the end, I will warn you before the final clip, there is a 2-page birth story. It's quite a doozy from Jude Deveraux about her son's birth in 1997. I will get more specific at that point in this episode, so you can stop then if you wish. But I do want to say generally a couple of times in this bonus, there's some anti-fat bias from the magazine, which was just, I'm glad to leave that in 1997. Thank you so much for being part of the Patreon. And thank you so much for supporting the show. I hope you enjoy these bonus clips. And then down at the bottom, those of you who attended last year's Romantic Times Book Lovers Convention in Baton Rouge will remember Sharif, the tall, dark, and very handsome model, actor, artist, and aspiring cover model. Canadian buddies and Dell authors Virginia Henley and Marcia Canham sure were very smitten, and they made sure that he appeared on the covers of their books. So he becomes a very big figure. I have a Romantic Times, I think their 200th issue, had him on the cover, and he was making a really big splash at Romantic Times and on covers. And then it came out that he was in many, many, many gay porn movies.
Oh.
And it was a big scandal.
I mean, hey, get that bag.
Get the bag. I mean, that at the time everyone was like, what?
Yeah. My only connection to Princess Diana, because I was not old enough to really be plugged into this stuff, and I'm American and I'm not a royal watcher by any means, but you can bet your ass I had the Princess Di memorial Beanie Baby in one of the special acrylic boxes that you display your Beanie Babies.
The small one or the big one?
The big one, the big purple one with the white flower embroidered on it.
The white rose on the chest. Yeah. When my mother-in-law moved to where they live now, she had to divest herself of her Beanie Baby collection. And this was when she discovered that they were indeed not worth very much. But I took her Princess Diana Beanie Babies, the large and the small, and I sold them on eBay.
How much did you get for them?
$32.
I remember going with my friend Kayla from elementary school. I don't know what Kayla's doing now. We would go to Beanie Baby Expo shows.
No, really?
In South Florida. I remember going to one and there people just had tables of rare Beanie Babies to buy. And I didn't have a large collection. I had maybe 10. Because, once you're into Beanie Babies, that's all your grandparents get you.
Oh, yeah, and they're easy. They're everywhere.
Beanie Baby. Yeah. I don't still have any Beanie Babies. I don't know what became of them. But yeah, if anyone was fascinated by the Beanie Baby boom, there is a wonderful nonfiction book called, oh my God, someone's trying to sell the Princess Diana Beanie Baby on Poshmark for $500,000. But there's a book called The Great Beanie Baby Bubble by Zach Bissonnette.
Yes.
If you like weird niche history and had an attachment to Beanie Babies.
So I just looked on eBay. There is one for $34.90. There's one for $507,000. There's one for $999. There's one for $900,000. What is happening? All right, so let me filter by sold items. Let's see. The highest sale price of the results that I've got is $49.95.
People are not. I mean, I even bought the little tag protectors that you clip.
Oh,
over
yeah.
the
My
tags.
mother-in-law had those for sure. My mother-in-law used to. So when McDonald's did the Happy Meals with the teeny Beanie Babies,
yes,
she would buy lunch for all her coworkers if they would get a Happy Meal and whatever else they wanted, and she would get the Beanie Baby. So she collected all of them. I also learned from some moms where I lived in New Jersey who did not like McDonald's, were vegetarian, and this was back when, McDonald's would fry everything in beef tallow. So they did not eat there. But every so often, McDonald's toys would be of a movie or a show that their daughter really, really liked. So they started buying McDonald's toys off of eBay for like $4, getting the whole set. And then they would like give them out as like a prize or a reward. Like, hey, you get your chores done and we'll get to have another like, Ninjago figurine. And I was like, that's really smart. I bought so many McDonald's toys off eBay because it meant I didn't have to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
So we have this one page remembering Diana, but there's more Diana. Do not worry.
Yeah.
There's a lot more. I also learned an interesting piece of postal history from this magazine, and this is exactly my flavor of nerd. So this is still the letters to the editor. International self-addressed stamped envelopes. Pat Billingham in Aberdare, Mid Glamorgan, UK. If I have said that wrong, I apologize. She finds it very difficult to buy earlier books by her new favorites unless the titles still show up in a store computer in Florida, because many of the classifieds in RT that offer to find books require a self-addressed stamped envelope. And she can't do that because she's in Britain. Hello, this is Later Sarah, who is editing. And I just looked up, Mid Glamorgan is in Wales. I apologize for calling this town Britain. It is not. It is in Wales. My apologies to the nation of Wales for not knowing that. I had to Google it while I was editing. Now back to the show. All of our international readers find self-addressed stamped envelope requests frustrating, but there is a solution. International reply coupons. You can purchase green coupons at the postal office around the world and send it with your reply envelope. The recipient of your letter then exchanges that coupon for his or her country's postage to send back to you. So I did some research. I was like, that can't be real. That was indeed a real thing.
That's interesting.
The Universal Postal Union member countries all had international reply coupon. So you could send the coupon, then somebody would take their reply and take the coupon to the post office, and then they would be able to buy postage for it because you've already paid for it. So as of, let me see here. The United States Postal Service stopped selling international reply coupons on 27th of January, 2013.
Wow.
Yep.
That lasted longer than I assumed.
As of 2020, Thailand still has them. Swiss Post still has them. Singapore has them. Norway, Macau, and Japan has them as well. Most other countries are phasing them out because there's lack of demand.
Yeah.
Because everyone's just using digital transmissions. But I think that's so cool. I did not know that that was a thing.
Now, in this letters to the editor section, there's also a response about an open letter Bertram Small wrote.
Again, I have to find this issue.
Yeah. I was curious if you had that issue. It's the October issue 163. So what, two issues before this one?
Do not have
but
it.
If we can find it, I'm very curious what she said, because this reader was absolutely tickled. The heading is, "You tell 'em, Bertram." Hot dog. The best thing in your October issue, number 163, was Bertram Small's open letter. How articulate, how humorous, how perfect. Since I read and enjoy many different genres, I appreciate the hard work that must go into a well-researched, well-written romance novel. Romance authors today have the courage to deal with so many social issues, both in historical and contemporary fiction. They have earned and deserve the respect of their readers and fellow writers. From Winifred Kemp in Tebbits, Missouri.
I cannot find a picture of this. Even the unofficial Romantic Times Index does not have a copy of this. So I will have to add this to my, I would love to read that issue.
Ask if maybe Steve has a copy.
Steve, do you have a copy? He might be listening.
We just want to know what the letter says. Yeah.
Steve, do you have a copy? Can you call me? So on page 58 of the PDF, there is a whole article about Midnight Louie.
Midnight Louie.
There's a whole this episode and the reviews episode has excellent appearances of cats. We had the cats of Mayfair.
Also, great glamour shot again. This is a good one.
Her hair is perfect.
It's very Audrey Hepburn-esque to me.
Yes.
It looks good.
It's
I like
a great photo. She looks very elegant. And also like she's about to deliver unto you some incredible gossip. There's a whole page about Midnight Louie, and the reason I flagged this is that Midnight Louie's newsletter is called Scratching Post Intelligencer.
Oh my God.
And her website at that time was catwriter.com/C Douglas. So that's some interesting branding right there for Carol Nelson Douglas.
Series. I don't know which book in the series it is, but it's 8th. It's the 8th book in the Midnight Louie series. But the subhead says a feline rival is trying to turn him into kitty litter, and his lady love has been unfairly sacked for violating a morals clause.
What? Okay, what is going on with this? Somebody said in the comments that they really liked the Midnight Louie series, and they couldn't believe that we'd brought it up because they hadn't thought about it in a really long time.
Well,
I'm not able to conjugate verbs at this time.
The review that we read, it took place at a Las Vegas cat show.
Yes.
But nowhere in the review did they mention that Midnight Louie was an actual cat.
Nope. And then I think in the Vegas one, there's also a psychic cat, a telepathic cat.
Yes, there's a psychic cat trying to help Midnight.
Burying the lead there with the the telepathic cat. What the hell? So on page 60, I just wanted to call your attention to this boring ass ad.
Look at those birds.
But here's what I noticed about this ad. So you notice there's 4 books. There's Waltz in Time by Eugenia Riley, Twice Upon a Time by Emily Richards, and then A Tough Man's Woman by Deborah Camp, and A Prince Among Men by Kate Moore. So there's 4 books. 2 of them are really, really big. And this is 97. And if you remember when we did the bonus episode about Catherine Falk, which you can sign up to the Patreon and listen to if you wish, I talked about that article that mentioned in 97 the tension between Romantic Times with the clinch covers and the male models and the beefcake covers, and then the direction that some publishers were moving in, which was, stuff on the cover, like birds or castles or flowers, or on this page 3, there was a fan. So if you look at what covers are big in this ad, it's the one with 2 hummingbirds and the one with a rose. And then the much smaller covers are we're about to go to Bone Town in this field and it's really windy and here are my bosoms. Like that they're very clinchy. There's nobody wears shirts. You can wear a vest, but if you were a guy, you cannot wear a shirt. And there's like wind and fields and there's an animal. It's very much old school style, but those are the smaller ones.
But interestingly enough, like the bigger, the cover story is a clinch shirtless man cover.
Extremely, yeah. You knew what side Romantic Times was on. Romantic Times was on the side of the clinch cover and the Fabio and all of what that we were just looking at with John DeSalvo's many nipples. But this ad from Avon, which I will also argue is prioritizing stuff and images and not clinch. It's also a very boring ad.
Yeah.
Very boring.
Snooze. But
if you look at the bottom, there's a typo in the bottom right corner. The URL is printed as http://avonbooks.www.com. That's not going to work.
Someone copy and pasted in the wrong spot.
Yeah, that didn't go right. But it's interesting which covers take up more real estate and which covers the author or the publisher is paying to promote and what they look like versus the smaller ones that don't have as much prominence. I think this is sort of when you start to see a shift in what romance looks like and what people think romance should look like.
Yeah. Part of me wanted to mention the Sisters Inscribe, where it was this Julia Quinn and Danelle Harmon who...
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. So page 61 of the PDF.
Yeah. So Sarah picked Danelle's book, The Wild One, in reviews.
Yes.
But they were talking about how like they sparked up a friendship and like email all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was funny. And also like with Bridgerton being so popular and me reading this issue, it is I often forget how long some authors have been writing in this space.
Oh yeah.
Like for a lot of people, they're just finding Julia Quinn, right? And we are, 17 years onward from this issue? So
more than that.
More 27?
27 years.
27 years.
This magazine issue can drive, vote, and rent a car and drink.
Yeah. So Julia Quinn was writing several decades ago, and I feel like it's easy to forget how long some people have been in this space.
Yeah. And in another piece of time capsule in the lower right corner, they have a PO box and an email at AOL, and then a website, members.aol.com/dharmon2. And Julia Quinn's website at the time was theromanceClub.com/juliaquinn.htm, which is hilarious because the developers who did the redesign several decades ago of Smart Bitches, who do a lot of the behind the scenes, like if I need a new feature built, it's Wax Creative. Wax Creative is the creator of Julia Quinn's website because the owner of Wax Creative is Julia Quinn's sister, Emily. So the fact that the site that is now juliaquinn.com started off at theromanceclub.com/juliaquinn.htm is so cute. It was so hard to have a website back then. And yet they had
also,
them.
They put note, we had to stop the interview mid-sentence because we couldn't get them to stop talking.
Yeah. And it's a really cute sort of back and forth where they start talking about their friendship and then they start talking about each other's books and they talk to each other. So you're kind of watching you're reading basically a chat transcript.
Yeah.
But it's very cute. And the pictures at the top, they're very, very cute.
Yeah.
So like I said did I say this in this episode or the other episode? I took a picture of this and sent it to Julia Quinn. It was like, I don't know if you remember this, but hey, here's you in 1997. She went, oh my God, I'd forgotten all about that. Then the third book is Dan and Daisy Doyle were happily married private detectives, and in death they still are. They hilariously haunt their old home, now a grand hotel, specializing in gala weddings. Are all these brides and grooms truly meant for eternal union? Only the Doyles have a clue.
So these are meddling married ghosts who used to be private detectives.
Yes.
Who haunt a hotel and suss out whether couples getting married there are meant to be together.
There are 3 books in the Eternal series. There's Eternal Vows. The ghosts of 2 murdered lovers from a century earlier are trapped in place until someone falls in love in the beautiful mansion in the French Quarter. Then ghostly sleuths turned matchmakers in eternal love tackle their latest case. And the third one is Eternal Sea. Oh boy. Parted from his lover by a mortal fight over an Egyptian urn and swept to a watery grave. Oh boy. Eric Wolfe haunts his seaside home for a century as it degenerates. I guess they get disintegrates or degenerates. All right, degenerates until a woman arrives with the unique power to release him from death. Does he come back to life or does he just have to complete dying? Either way, it looks like Dan and Daisy Doyle are not in book 3. They're only in books 1 and 2. But that looks kind of fun. It's kind of like Beetlejuice. The ghostly couple haunting you.
Kind of like Beetlejuice.
They kind of want to fix your shit.
I also pointed out, was it page 76 of the PDF, how washed out these ladies are.
Oh.
I feel like there's only one of them, Dear Enemy, the one that you
Dear Enemy.
picked,
Yep.
is the only one that looks okay. Everyone else looks like they're being blinded.
So that's 70 something of the
76 of the PDF.
I am
74
right there.
of the magazine.
I'm right there. Here we go. 71, 72, 73. Yeah, in the print edition.
Is it like that?
This did not translate well to black and white. Hang on. If you look, it's just as washed out. It's very grayscale. And I think it doesn't help that these cover images are they're very Vaseline lens.
Yes.
They're they've got a lot of blur and I think it's goss or something. They look like somebody smeared Vaseline on them. And some of them have touched by an angel light behind them, which washes them out even more. But yeah, that ad is not doing those books any kind of service.
No.
But 4 new titles every month. More than
Every month.
400 pages of quality writing for $3.99. $4.99 in Canada. 400 pages of quality writing. Wow, do you promise? On page 122 of the PDF, there's this person, Tammy Risotto, won a weekend with Steve Sandalis. One lucky person is in romance heaven. Tammy Risotto of Margate, Florida, will be treated to 3 glorious days and nights in the Big Apple with cover model Steve Sandalis.
That's so awkward.
She was the top winner in Commonwealth's Name That Series contest. The 8-book contemporary series dubbed Encounters will be co-authored by Susan Paul, a noted Georgia romance author, and Steve Sandalis, Penguin's former Topaz Man.
Topaz Man.
This is gross, though. The dark and handsome Steve and svelte Susan will model for all the Encounter covers. So the author is going to model for the covers, and Tammy named the series and went to New York. Wow. Okay.
I just we've talked about fan culture before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would ever enter a contest where I would have to spend time
with someone I didn't know.
Yeah, someone I didn't know, even if it was a celebrity I enjoy. That's gotta be awkward as shit.
Oh, so awkward. Okay, so this is the sad part. So if you don't want to hear this segment, you can just stop now, move on to the next episode in your playlist. This is the last one. I put it at the end. Thank you for listening. What follows is a discussion of the 2-page birth story, which is in the PDF if you'd like to read it, about Jude Deveraux' son, Sam. He was born in 1997. He died 8 years later in an accident. And Jude was subsequently targeted by a con artist. And that's what I'm talking about here. But let me tell you how sad this section is with Jude Deveraux's baby, Sam.
Oh.
Do you remember when there was this psychic who was prosecuted for swindling Jude Deveraux out of money?
Yes.
Okay, so that was in 2013. She was found guilty of fraud. Her name was Rose Marks, who told Deveraux that her name was Joyce Michael. She visited this psychic because of problems with her marriage and with her infertility. And then, so here's what happens in this article. This article is all about Jude Deveraux. Okay, do you remember mommy blogging?
Yeah.
And people would post their birth stories.
Yeah.
This is Jude Deveraux's birth story in this magazine, to the point where
I thought this was such a weird choice.
Her abs were so hard that they had to cut really hard because she's so strong. And then there's a lot of anti-fat bias, which tracks with the books that she was writing at the time. There's a lot of anti-fat bias in them. And so she writes her whole birth story of her son, Sam. She thought she was going to have a child with her first husband, and then that did not work out. And she met a guy named Mohammed Montasir, and her son was Sam Alexander Montasir. So Sam was his initials and his name, and she was obsessed with Sam is coming. Sam, long before she got pregnant, she would tell everyone in publishing, "Oh, when Sam comes, when Sam comes." She had really focused on having a baby named Sam. She was going to have a baby. So he was killed at 8 in 2005, and this psychic told Jude that she needed to pay her because her son was caught between heaven and hell, and unless the psychic
garbage human
did not intervene, her son would be caught in these realms and be miserable. In the end, over 17 years, this woman swindled between $17 and $20 million from Jude Deveraux. She has literally no money left from her career as of that point. And this psychic also told Deveraux and her other victims that their money and their valuables were cursed and needed to be given to her for cleansing rituals, and then they would be returned, but of course were never given back. She was found guilty of fraud and lost an appeal in 2016, but she swindled Jude Deveraux out of $20 million. So when I saw this whole story, I'm like, oh no, I know how this ends, and it's not a good ending. Ugh.
Well, this issue is sad.
It is very sad. It's a very sad issue.
Because there's the Princess Diana memorial stuff. And I think it was was it Nora Roberts? Someone did a quote of like, oh, I remember this video of Princess Diana coming out of someplace and she's swarmed by paparazzi, but there was like this little girl who wanted to give her a flower and she like stopped for that little girl or whatever.
Yeah, that's coming up.
And then in the editor's note, Catherine Falk mentions that Danielle Steele's son died of an overdose at the age of 19. I'm like, geez Louise, this is a sad in the personal lives of people issue. But honestly, there's a special place in hell for that woman.
Oh, there's a absolutely very specific place in hell. And if you look at the bottom of page 16, Catherine Falk, Lady Barrow, together with Virginia Henley, Stella Cameron, and the Christmas Season in London tour group will be giving Jude a baby shower in London, and you are all invited. For those of you who wish to join the tour and attend the baby shower, there's still time to sign up. Jude is overwhelmed, and when asked, she was requested children's books from America. So if you would
Jude ever have another child?
No. And she's still publishing, so hopefully she's doing okay. But that woman, that psychic swindler, is going straight to hell.
Yeah, for sure.